House of the Dragon. When the best action in the final is mud wrestling, that's a problem. With all the dragons in Westeros, why can't this show's makers figure out how to conjure an exciting season ender? Game of Thronestook, an Alaskan winter's worth of shade for its poor decision-making, but ending 7 of its 8 seasons, well, was its saving grace. Missteps notwithstanding, we could depend on that much. House of the Dragon reminds us of this by flashing back to one of the series' most magnificent moments. Daenerys hatching her 3 dragons, generations after they'd been thought to have disappeared from the world. Season 1 cut to black with Drogon's Screech cutting through that darkness. Much more happened in that hour that set up the next season, but that dragon call announced Daenerys, an exiled royal nun, took seriously, and drastically altered the stakes overnight. House of the Dragon teased something similar by having Rhaena Targaryen, Foe Campbell, abandon her nanny post and run for the hills in search of a wild dragon, and without even a water skin or a power bar in her purse. Finally, she catches up to her quarry. Dragon sees girl, girl sees dragon, and that's all we get until 2025. Maybe 2026. This is intercut between scenes of Rhaenyra, Emma Darcy, staring out her doorway on Dragonstone, Alicent, Olivia Cook, staring at a sunrise, Daemon, Matt Smith, staring at his army, and hosts of Driftmark, Stark. Yes, the wolves have entered the chat. Lannister and Hightower men on the move. The Hightowers accompanied by a dragon we haven't seen before, but one you would recognize if you read book. Otto Hightower, Res Ifans, is getting back in the fray too, I guess. Editing these into a montage weights all these developments equally. In terms of their emotional gravity, they simply aren't. Rhaenyra, Alicent, Daemon, and their bannermen represent the inevitable. Rhaenyra's mad desire diverges from the plan, much like Dany's rise from the ashes. But that encounter never culminates, submerged in the chess pieces flooding the board 1, possibly 2 years before anyone makes a move. Seriously, how long will it take House of the Dragon to figure itself out? It gives us new dragon riders in the penultimate episode only to have the most despicable ruin the mood. It annihilates the key tension between 2 key characters by shoving in a come to the blood of wood Jesus moment, and it makes Prince Jaehaerys Velaryon, Harry Collett, look like a whiny punk. The second season final's empty soul repeats the same mistakes as the first, compounding its flaccidness by setting up consequential conflicts without sufficiently establishing the groundwork for caring about anyone. Aemond Ewan Mitchell loses control, lights up a town for no good reason, and roughs up his clairvoyant sister, who helpfully tells him he's going to Divatvar. I feel for Rhaenyra is a credit to Darcy's heartfelt performance, especially in this hour's second major confrontation between her and Cook's Alicent. The tossed aside Dowager Queen sneaks out of King's Landing to Dragonstone to say, "Know what? You were right. I was wrong. I'll do the peacemaking thing now," only to be shocked when her ex-BFF brushes her off with, "Beach, please. I have 7 kaiju now, and all you have is a weird daughter and couple of angry incel sons, and one is burnt up like bad." It isn't fair to put all this on the final's writer Sarah Hess, since meaningful plot progression has been a casualty of this show since the start. Showrunner Ryan Condal and his team are squandering the relatively open slate George R. Martin writes in Fire and Blood. In terms of character specifics, they appear to be aware of this, indicated by the spirited writing for Oscar Tully and this episode's saving grace Shariko Lohar. Barely mentioned in Martin's texts, the Lysini pirate, Abigail Thorne, who dominates in her performance, explodes onto the scene by cutting Tyland Lannister, Jefferson Hall, down to size and making the lion debase himself for our pleasure. Thorne's Admiral Lohar adds something this show desperately lacks, which is a sense of humor that costs them nothing and cuts one of those stodgy lords down to size. Since we're praising this pirate leader, introduced using he/him/his pronouns, now is as fine as time as any to break down what worked in the final fire and what didn't. Tired.